Good evening and welcome one and all. I am Avik Das and will be your moderator for the next 1 hour. Right at the onset, we hope that you and your families are safe in these challenging times. Today's topic is about expectations from next gen engineers by Industry 4.0. Acquiring necessary skill sets and matching them with the expectations of the prospective employers is very essential for aspiring engineers. While a lot of engineers are academically well versed, many of them grapple to understand the requirements of the industry. This webinar, being presented as part of CET Prepmaster by Presidency University in association with the Times of India and Vijay Karnataka, will be an effort to close this gap and also equip them with right inputs on what the industry expectations are. This webinar will be followed by a mock test tomorrow, and the last date for its registration is today till 7 p.m. in the evening. The mock test will aid the students acquainted with the test processes and sample questions of CET. Those interested in the webinar and mock tests can register themselves on www.cetprepmaster.in. To discuss all these and also know how students should prepare for the new engineering world, we have with us two esteemed panelists, Yogesh Bhatt and Jacob Augustine. Yogesh is the co-founder and senior vice president of Masai School. Yogesh has over 25 years of experience in learning and development, sales and operations across varied industries and geographies of India and the Middle East. His areas of expertise also include strategic partnerships and operations, program design, and delivery, adept facilitation skills across sales, workforce skills, and leadership programs. He has facilitated more than 500 workshops, more than 600 masterclasses, covering more than 10,000 participants across India and overseas. Welcome, Yogesh, on the panel. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Avik.
We also have Dr. Jacob Augustine, Professor and Associate Dean, Computer Science Engineering at Presidency University. Jacob has worked in the software industry in Bangalore for more than 20 years in HP and Saskin. Prior to moving to the industry, Jacob was a faculty at the National Institute of Technology, Calicut, for about 10 years. Welcome, Jacob, on the panel too. Great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Avik.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go without wasting any more time. Let's go straight into the questions. And the first question I'll actually take it to Yogesh and Jacob. What does the industry expect from engineers of today or the future, and vice versa? Yogesh, if you can begin, and then take the question to Jacob.
Sure. Avik, and thank you so much for inviting us today. It's a wonderful topic to address aspiring engineers who are getting into this field. Now, before getting into the specifics, I think as Steve Jobs said once, you can't connect the dot looking forward, you can only connect looking backward. So let's look at what has changed over the last few centuries. If you look at the Industry 1.0, it was all about sometime around 18th century it started, wherein which they used the steam and the water as a power, and it translated from hand production method to machine. Then that was Industry 1.0. The Industry 2.0 began somewhere around late 19th century. It was all about using electrical and electric energy for mass production. And Industry 3.0, somewhere in 1970, it started using electronics and internet. And today we are at the brink of Industry 4.0. It is all about data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so forth. Similarly, the education has also evolved over centuries, right? If you look at it the similar way, the education 1.0 was all about the good old Gurukul system, wherein which a teacher to a few pupils, I'm talking about maybe 2000 years ago or even 1000 years ago, where education was only for a very few people who are elite, right? Then the 2.0 happened, where around 15th century, you had the universities coming up in Europe and US, and it was one to many. Then the education 3.0 happened. I'm talking about the higher education here, wherein which you had access to democratization of education. If you have an internet, you can even watch the best of the professors and the best of the colleges. You can get access, and many of them also on free platform. I think today, what is the need of the hour is higher education 4.0. So if you're asking me a question that what does the industry expect from engineer, a lot. Because today, if as an engineer, you need to demonstrate domain competencies, irrespective whether it is mechanical, chemical, electronics, or whatever stream that you are going to pursue it, you are supposed to demonstrate the domain competencies, both knowledge and skill. You need to, that's not just good enough. You need to have the communication skills. You need to demonstrate the problem solving skills, people skills, and the mindset and the tool set. So we'll go deeper into it as we go in this session. But these are the 5 things industry would definitely expect as far as what I have seen in the recent past.
Great, thank you, Yogesh. That's a great way to begin. I'll take the same question to Jacob. Jacob, you have that unique situation where you have been in you've been in the academics, then you moved over to the industry, and then you finally probably decided to come back to academics. You probably one of the best suited to explain what, I mean, in a position to understand what the industry wants, what the academia wants, how to probably marry the two demands. Taking the question to you, what do you think? What are the expectations from the industry for the engineers, and what engineers should also, or the would-be engineers should expect from the industry in the current times?
Yeah, Avik, I think many of my answers will be tilted towards computer science because that is my background, but I can in general talk about any of the engineering branches based on the information I get from my colleagues and friends. So, if you look at the industry, let's stay a little bit focused on the software industry, because that is a thriving industry in Bangalore. Over the past 20 years, a lot of industries in software has moved from West to Bangalore, and it is one of the places many other people all over India want to come and work. So, I would like to categorize the software industry into probably 2-3 segments. Like there are product industry, there are service industry, then startups. So based on my experience as an engineer and a manager in industry, so I have observed people going through various stages, right from software engineer up to expert senior level. Then some of them at that point switch to startups. All these things I have seen. So one of the key things, there is always a slight gap between the engineering education the students get from the universities. What is really required in the industry, there is a gap. So what the industries try to do is, typically the service industries will have well-planned training plans, and they will put the newly joined engineers into those plans. Say, for example, Infosys, they have a campus in Mysore, they do it there. Wipro has similar things. But product industries, typically the size will be small. So what they do is they will put them into the, along with the other place, and we'll put mentors and try to bring it to them. Now, a few things I have observed is particularly when a fresh engineer joins, let's say from any college in Bangalore to a company like HP. So one of the first thing they see is they have to deal with big software. In the college, they would have done small pieces of software. So some people will get into a little bit of worry, but with the right mentor over a period of time, they get a handle of that. I have several examples like that. Then they become experts in that. So few things they need to be prepared is to have the ability to learn things themselves that they have to gain during their undergraduate study. Or in many of the colleges, they have something called PO, program objectives in the, OBE-based education system. There is one term called lifelong learning. Say, if you relate my example, like when I graduated, there was no computers like this, but any of the things related to that I learned afterwards. So the lifelong learning ability is critical. So that is required. And some of the placement officers say that students need to have the patience to sit long hours and go after solving the problem, because some of the placement officers always complain about that. Sitting long hours and chasing a problem until it is solved. This is another thing is required. Then they need to have a way to discipline and create a plan to learn things themselves. And then good communication skill, because in colleges they work individually or maximum in small teams of 1 or 2. But in industry, it's a teamwork. So there will be a team leader, and then there will be engineers, and you have to work well with them and should not get into conflicts and things like that. So that is another thing. And particularly people who are coming from cities, I haven't seen any problem with language. Particularly anyone from Bangalore, generally they're pretty good in English. And but other places, sometimes they will have to acquire the English skills also. So I'll just conclude my comment with one more thing. In the schools, typically they're more focused on getting marks. In that process, sometimes the actual learning is lost. So even some PG students I have been teaching, they are so much worried about marks. So what they have to worry is to acquire the ability to do things, solve things. That is what is more important. So this is something which I would like to say related to the question you asked.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jacob. Great points made. I mean, I must tell everybody that there is no better, perhaps there is not a better time than right now to become an engineer. I mean, if you look at the current scenario where companies are actually undergoing a lot of digital transformation and they are looking for engineers, in thousands of engineers being recruited across campuses. If you must have heard across the news that companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, they're just trying to recruit people in thousands. The demand for engineers have gone up, and especially niche skills. Yogesh, coming back to you, you talked about domain competency. You talked about problem solving skills. You talked about people skills. Can you just take us a little bit into the details for the audience to understand, what are some of those skills that you're talking about, and how important that they, once they start getting into this engineering field and eventually come out after 4 years?
Absolutely. See, if you look at it, why do companies hire? Companies hire because you are there to solve a problem there. When you say problem, it is not negative, right? It could be improving what they're doing or finding a solution to where they want to go there. So what they look is broadly what they look for skills. On one side is the hard skill, the other side is the soft skills. What is a hard skill? Hard skills are core domain expertise. As I said, it could be, if you're a chemical engineer, what is it that you bring to the table is your knowledge and ability on chemical engineering. Similarly, as a software developer, what is it that you bring to the table? The knowledge and the ability. And if you look at it, in most of the students, they're good in knowledge. As Dr. Jacob said, right from our childhood, we encourage and reward people who have this ability to absorb knowledge, store knowledge, and reproduce knowledge, right? So where is the application of the knowledge is the skill. So today, if you want to join organizations are looking at demonstrating a skill. Now that's the hard skill. Let's move to the other part, the soft skill. Now, if you look at the soft skill, the word means different to different people. The word soft skill was coined actually by US military. You would be surprised to hear that. They wanted their military cadets not just to be good in warfare tactics, but also pick up the ability to communicate and work with other cadets on the field or off the field, right? So this is how they developed it. And if you want me to list, there could be a very long list that can go to build a soft skill. And actually, it's a journey that all of us go on. And the best time to pick up a soft skill is when you're in a high school or a college, because you don't have any inhibition. But unfortunately, many of them don't pick it up. It could be for various reasons. Either the ecosystem is not right, or they come from such a place where that is not encouraged and the focus is only on knowledge. Now let's look at soft skills. Now, the first thing in a soft skill which the organization look at is a problem-solving ability. Now, life is all about solving problems, right? Today, you have so many startups in our country. It's all because they have this great ability. They have identified a problem and they want to go after solving that problem. So at work, it's all about problem solving. Now, if someone has to solve a problem, there are 3 C's that are required. First and foremost, he must be curious to solve that problem. If I'm not curious, I'll not even attempt, right? The second is the critical thinking. I think as an engineer, one of the ability that you develop in the 4 years during the college is critical thinking. And along with creative thinking makes you a good problem solver. Now let's move to the second aspect of soft skills, as Dr. Jacob said also, is communication. Probably the most overlooked, but so significant. Let's take a software developer. The recent research says that an entry-level software developer spends less than 25% of the time actually in coding. The balance 75% of the time is spent working with people on projects, solving problems. Now look at it, I'm focusing on 25% building my knowledge and skill, but the 75% require my ability to communicate with others, collaborate with others, to co-create solutions. And I don't have that skill. So what happens is this individual will start withdrawing himself. And as you may get into a job because you have that particular, let's say, a coding skill. I'm a web developer. I know front-end technology, back-end technology, and I know data structures algorithm. I get into the job. But will he be able to perform well in the job is the question. So moving forward, if you look at it, apart from your problem-solving skills and communication skills, what kind of a mindset that you are demonstrating, right? As in today, the change is so evident. Do you have that ability to learn? Learnability is a key trait today. And things are changing so rapidly. What you learned 5 years back may not be relevant today, and more so in tech domain. Maybe mechanical and chemical, the change may be a little slow, but it's also happening there. So your ability to learn, continuously learn, becomes very important. So the mindset of learnability, adaptability, and the drive to contribute to solve the problem is very important. Last, before I conclude here, is what kind of tool set that you bring to the table. What do you mean by tool set? I may be a chemical engineer, but today in Industry 4.0, where in which so much of data is used, do I have an ability to look at data, synthesize it, and draw insight into it? You must be wondering, as a chemical engineer, what have I got to do with the data analysis? But that's the way it's going to work at it. What kind, can I do a presentation to an audience? I have a project presentation. I have something, a proposal to present. So ability to present, ability to use tools, maybe this virtual media. Many people might struggle to use this tool and connect to others. So typically, these are the four things a student should pick it up. And during the 4 years of engineering, I think if given me a chance, I would like to go back to college and learn this again, because this 4 years you are open, you are absorbing like a sponge, and you can learn as much as you can. So focus on problem solving skills, communication skills, ability to work with people, that is the people skills, and build that kind of a mindset, saying that my learning is not going to stop when I complete my 8th semester. In fact, it's going to be a continuous learning. These are the points that I would like to share.
I have a follow-up question here, Yogesh. When it comes to communicating, I mean, it's probably easier said than done, but how do you effectively communicate? All of us can speak, yeah, but right. How do we effectively communicate?
Yes. So probably the most difficult skill to build in an individual is communication. I just want to pick up what Dr. Jacob said. Many people who come from tier 2, 3 city struggle with English fluency. Many of the students that come to Masai School are from tier 2, 3 cities. They must all understand that I have a great respect to Matrubhasha, right? Whether you speak Hindi, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, very important. But you should also pick up Vyapar Bhasha. And today the Vyapar Bhasha is English. And English is more easy to learn today than what it was for me, right? I also went to a Kannada medium school. That doesn't stop you from learning and speaking English. Now, how do you pick up English? So you need to practice. It's a skill. Just like learning how to cycle or swimming, you can't learn it by reading a book. So many people try to learn English by reading a book. It doesn't happen there. You need to speak. You need to listen. If you look at communication, there are 3 large aspects of it. One is writing. The second is listening. Third is reading. And fourth is speaking. There are 4 elements, sorry. And if you see that, the research says that 55% of effectiveness in communication is listening. And today, most individuals struggle to listen because of very short attention span that they have. So you need to build your capability to do all these 4 And if you do it over a period of time, only then you build the skill. And we have seen in our students, when you invest 1 hour every day, we have come up with a formula in Messiah School. If any student want to improve his communication skill, just like a doctor gives a prescription as RX, we give a CX. Every day, 15 minutes, he's supposed to read any topic of his choice. Almost people have forgotten reading. 15 minutes of listening to any audio. It could be a podcast, it could be a TED talk. 15 minutes, he must do a recording on a Zoom or any platform wherein which he gets comfortable with this platform to speak, and a 15 minutes of writing a blog. And if you do this for 100 days, there would be you would come to at least a threshold level. It can't come doing it for 4 days or 5 days or 1 week. So people expect some kind of a magic happening by attending a master class. I need to absorb a skill. It's not going to happen. So that's the key. Deliberate practice, a desire to hone communication skill, and a determination that I want to achieve it. If you have this, you will make it. Otherwise, you will struggle. And I'll tell you, Avik, if you pick it up in your early 20s, you pick up your communication skill. As you move, it becomes tougher and tougher and tougher.
Just to add on to that, Avik,
please, Professor, add it.
Yeah. So in communication in industry, there will be one more aspect, which they don't need to do anything in the education time, because typically any of the companies here, they work across the globe. So you will have to communicate with people from different cultures. And we had formal training in that. Say, for example, how a German communicate, or a person in the east of Europe communicate, or in the west of east of US and west of US, they're different. Most of the companies here, communication with west of US is familiar, but when it comes to east, their language, accent, everything is different. And if you go to Canada, sometimes initially I couldn't even understand. They could not understand me also, whereas California people easily understand. So this is another dimension of communication, which will become an issue, not an issue, which need to be acquired after joining the company. Then just to educate, not give some input about some of the people who have successfully migrated from different fields. I have interacted with a professor who is in New York. His name is Nasir Memon. He basically studied from BITS Pilani in chemical engineering because his family had a chemical business. After 3 years working in the chemical industry, he decided to switch to computer science. So he went to Carnegie Mellon and did MS and PhD, and he was working. And he's an outstanding researcher. If you search, he is an expert in an authority in the field of data compression. And he's currently the dean of the Polytechnic, New York Polytechnic. It's one of the oldest engineering school in the world. Brooklyn Poly it is called. He's the dean of engineering there. It's not very, so people have even migrated from one to the other. That is what is meant by lifelong learning. Like everything is there. It's up to your ability to take challenge and move on. Thanks.
Great. I want to take the next question to Dr. Augustine. We talk about the soft skills. Can we also focus on a bit on the technical skills? Of course. Let's say about your area of expertise, computer science and engineering. What are some of the typical or the most important subjects or the topics that students nowadays should focus on?
Yeah, I think let's take the case of computer science or mechanical or electrical or electronics. There are certain set of core subjects in all these fields. We can call them foundation subjects. And these foundation subjects, they have to learn thoroughly. Some of them will be little tough, but you will have to, it's like climbing the hill. You will have to spend time and learn it. Because that foundation will stay with you. That will help you to learn new things better if that is good. And this is where people need to pay attention. Typically in computer science, you can say there are about 10 core subjects. So I think Yogesh has already mentioned about data structures and algorithm. It's basically, you may not directly use, but that knowledge will always help you to think the right way. So those kind of things, there is no compromise. You have to learn it properly. And there is no shortcut for learning these core subjects because nowadays the current generation is wanting everything quick and certain things you have to put effort and learn. So that is one thing. Then there are so many other new subjects which is coming, which is built on top of that. Those things are one aspect. Then second thing is like this programming is becoming a important skill for all engineers, not only for computer science or other branches. So like in presidency, what we are now going to do, we are going to introduce a flexible curriculum. From the upcoming year, we are going to introduce something called choice-based credit system. So the all set of courses will be divided into school core, program core, discipline elective, and open elective. School core mean our school is engineering, School of Engineering. All the CE, computer science, mechanical, everything is in that. Irrespective of the branch, those courses are to be studied by all students. That's mandatory. This is a system which is existing in national institutes and US universities. So then we have program core. Suppose you're taking computer science, artificial intelligence, there will be a set of courses they have to do that. So like that it is done. And what you need to notice that even mechanical engineers, we are going to make data structures and algorithms compulsory. All engineers are going to be taught that because we consider it as a school core. Okay. And then Python programming is going to be available as an open elective because not only engineers, even non-engineers need programming sometimes. So this is one thing. The next thing is like the programming skill you need to be required to the required depth that people need to learn in a different way, maybe by doing projects, or a few set of people need to join together and try something themselves. And certain colleges have something called the coding club. So we are also planning to set up that. So where we focus more on solving the challenging problems than writing exam and getting marks. So this helped to increase the hands-on skill, and that is required to get through many of the tests conducted by companies and or interviews. So these are some of the aspects in technical learning I would like to say. Then some people who are more interested in, say, they are not very keen on engineering beyond some level, then in the flexible curriculum, we even allow them to complete the degree by taking courses from management. That flexibility is brought in using the CBCS system. Okay, Avik, that's all I have. If you have.
Yes, thank you so much. I have one follow-up question. I mean, this question will be divided in two parts. I'll ask the first part to Dr. Augustine and then take the next one to Yogesh. You know, let's be very clear on one thing, and I think this is a perfect platform to actually let our audiences know, and most of those who would want to be engineers 4 years down the line, that programming has become very, very essential to any field of engineering you want to study. I mean, computer science, mechanical, chemical, whichever field be, because a lot of professors say across the spectrum that programming is almost essential. You have to learn it, whichever field of engineering you want to study. And also, a lot of these fields have now sort of been married together. I mean, there's been more collaboration between these subjects than ever before. Both Jacob and Yogesh, can you just probably take a minute or two to probably let our audiences know how important these intermingling of subjects have become, and how important is that in the days to come?
Yeah, I think I can say you are telling about, I'll give you an example, like where programming is used in non-engineering areas. My daughter is a pass out from NIFT Bangalore, National Institute of Fashion Technology. She has learned Python programming and applying in her area. Otherwise in the course, she has never studied Python programming, but it became a necessity sometimes when to handle large amount of data. Same thing will apply to some management graduates. They may have to deal with a big Excel sheet with a lot of data to do analysis. It is the best way to solve that is to apply and solve it using programming. So you will come across various situations like that where that becomes essential. Avik, you are muted.
Yeah, sure. I'll take the next question to Yogesh. How do you think industry and engineering colleges can collaborate for new age education? The modern education that we're talking about. What are some of the areas where the collaboration should be at the maximum?
Absolutely. I think that's the need of the hour, and that's the change that we are talking about, Industry 4.0 and Education 4.0, right? So for so many years and so many decades, and both were operating in silos. Of course, there are some exceptional colleges and universities, but here I'm talking about majority of the colleges and universities in our country where there was no collaboration. If you look at any top colleges in the world, even in our country, their success has been because of the nexus. If you look at it, you can start with providing industry projects and internships, right? So that is something that they can provide to the students right away. They can talk about incubation. They can set up some research centers, innovation labs. Even they can also work on social projects. I know there are some of the NGOs in the country are working very closely with the college so that they can help the deprived people there. So that is the need of the hour. If there is no collaboration, then each one would be operating in their own silos, and then the students coming out of there would be completely misaligned with what the industry needs. So I would rather say not just collaboration, I think they should go to co-creation. So collaboration is one set, but if you keep doing it, you can co-create programs, co-create courses, co-create various modules, looking at what the industry is happening. Today, most colleges are just following the pattern that has been set 20 years ago, where industry has moved completely. So I think that is the need of the hour, and many things can be done. In terms of academia, what they should do is they should set up special cells. Every faculty member should voluntarily work in the industry for, let's say, 1 month in a year, so that they know what's happening there. And similarly, academia can invite professionals on a regular basis. For example, at Masai School, what we do is every Saturday between 3 to 5 is a code talk that we do, and we invite the CTOs, the CEOs, the CXOs of the organization to talk to our students. So this helps them to know what they are building now, what technologies are going up and stuff like that. That's very important. And similarly, industries also need to do a lot. I think they should come forward and work with some of the locality that they are present on and give them more internship opportunities, right? So today they are very, very closed. Why can't they give more internship? Why can't they give some problem statements, which the students can work on it and come with a solution? There are so many things that they can do. And the starting point is communication between the two. And then you can move to coordination, collaboration, and co-creation.
Right. Great points made. I mean, I really loved you pulled up those topics about collaboration between the industry and the academia. The faculty should be going and working with the industry for at least a month or two every year. Dr. Augustine, what sort of collaboration happens, let's say, between Presidency University and the industry? I mean, and how do you think a more fruitful collaboration can be done between the industry and the academia? I want you to answer probably both from the industry as well as from the academia perspective.
Yeah, you can call me Jacob. I'm used to that because in industry, nobody had suffixes or prefixes. Okay, so now coming to the collaboration, there is some collaboration existing. I can list out some of them, but when you compare with universities in the West, it's not sufficient. So as Yogesh said, something like a faculty working in an industry for some time, that is not existing in India. It will be a good thing. Then I can suggest some of the things which is already existing. Cisco has a program which they connect with campuses. The only thing is they have to invest and take things into that. Then yesterday I was talking to the person who is dealing with Infosys. They have a program called Campus Connect. I think I was talking to Meenakshi, who is handling that. So it's a program run by Infosys. They are doing it for various campuses. So in that, they provide something called Infosys Springboard, and where their learning material is made freely available to students. Then they also have a hand-holding program that is called Campus Connect, where they will train the trainer. And in addition, so we are working on that. And in addition to that, there are a few things like NASCOM has come out with certain courses which students can take. It's something like online courses. If any of you are familiar with NPTEL, which is run by MHRD, Government of India. So that is pretty well established. It's called MOOC courses, massively online courses. So this NASCOM courses are more industry oriented. Now Presidency has incorporated that. We have a mechanism to transfer the credit. If you do that course, that will get transferred and it will get into your grade card. So that these are some of the small things. But one of the real thing I feel is few colleges have set up incubation centers, and but it is going in a slow way. Incubation center, if it is well established, it is an industry, small industry working within the campus, and students can easily do internship that increase their skill. I think many of the colleges should look into that. The classic example which has made big success in that is at IIT Madras. Like it's by my professor Ashok Junjunwala. He has set up something called TNET. It's a networking group. 3 of them started that. Ashok Junjunwala, Bhaskar Ramurthy is the current director. Then Timothy Gonzalez. All of them are educated in the US, and they are in. So they have churned out 4 industries from IIT Madras. So the incubation and bringing to the level to launch it on the runway, that part is done internally. And they have told me like he has even done soldering with them because they were so passionate. So that is one very good example, but which is successful. But it needs a lot of drive. But at least every campus can think of some incubation center where some idea is like kind of a startup, that kind of thing. There are some examples here. I am also working with one of my students who is running running an incubation center. So these are some of the things we can do about it, but still our level is much less compared to Western universities.
Jacob, I mean, there are collaborations in India between the industry and the academia, but it doesn't always seem to bear the best of results in India. What do you think is the reason?
I think, I don't want to use that word, but Indians are not very innovative in general. People may not like to hear that, but see, the mecca of innovation is Silicon Valley. So because they celebrate all success, and some failure is not a problem. So a lot of Indians have made startups there. So once they used to say, if you have a IIT degree and a Hindu name, you can easily get startup funding in California. That is a general saying. Because they are so successful, even from Karnataka. These people have made these companies in the US. Gururaj Deshpande and Kumar Malavalli. Kumar Malavalli is the founder of Brocade. He studied at NIE, but he is in US. And same, Narayana Murthy also studied at NIE. So we are still in the exam writing, learning, and mark. Somehow we have to little bit deviate from that. I don't know how we can do that.
I just want to add something.
Please go ahead, Yogesh.
Yeah, sure. I work for the last 2 years in the startup ecosystem. Before that, I was working in the brick and mortar industry, right? But there is a sea change happening out there. I'm watching very closely, not just my company, but I work on a 91 Springboard, where it's a co-work space and it's filled with all startup companies. And my 2 other co-founder, Pratik and Rupal, already they were working right out of college in a startup or founded their own companies. There is a massive change happening. But if you look at the IT sector itself, when the 2000 boom was there, all these companies were serving major clients in the US. They were not creating any products. They were not solving problems. They were maintaining for them. But look at today, the companies that are coming today. You take any of the product-based companies that are coming up, even the recent one like the ShareChat, or any of the companies that you're looking at it, they are solving problems. So only when you solve problems, you become innovative. If you're servicing already a big client, your focus is only how do I build efficiencies, right? All the number of startups that are being found in our country, it's amazing. As you know, already Bangalore is the startup capital in the country, and Koramangala in that is also epicenter, right? If you look at the number of companies come, I think the best thing that have happened is today, more so with engineers coming out of the colleges, already they are keen to start company. Just to give you an example, yesterday we were talking to one of the edutech company, and they wanted some inputs from us, and they were looking very young. I said, when did you start that? They said that they studied together in Kota for JEE preparation. They went to IIT-K. They cleared IIT-K in Kanpur in 2017. They went on to work for a couple of years. But the idea was there when they were in college. So all three have come together and they've started an edutech prep company, and they want to take it up. So that's the bold decision, right? And all these kids were paid very high salaries, but they said, no, I want to build products. I want to solve problems. I think that entrepreneurial thing is emerging, and I see India as being a hub, and the drive will be from engineers largely.
Yeah, just to add to that, what he's saying is correct. Now, like a lot of people after some time, after working, they're a little bit comfortable financially, even not from very well-to-do families. They think of taking a challenge. That trend is coming, like that is happening.
While we talk about what the industry expects from students, or students expect from student expect from the industry, Yogesh, you brought this very interesting point about innovation and how that let's say that wave of innovation is actually, or the wind of innovation is just flowing through the campuses currently, or for the last 5-6 years in India. One question to both of you here: how do you think engineering students can develop an innovative mindset?
Answer is not to fear failure. If they fear failure, right, as I told you, it's all in the mindset that we have been brought up, right? If you fail, you're considered to be, you'll never be successful. But I think startup is all about trying.
The right word is, if you fail, you're considered a loser.
Exactly. Absolutely. I'm with you, Jacob, right? So I think startup is all about try, keep improving, keep iterating. It's failure is okay. If you are not failing, then you're not trying. That's the way the startups look at, right? So that's the way the innovation is built. And I think if you want to build innovation, you must be curious about solving problems. It goes back to the same one. Does solving problem excites you? Or you run away from the problem? So that's the simplest thing. If we can inculcate this in our children in college, go after, look, and India is a great country. As far as we have any 360 degrees you turn, there are enough problems to solve, right? Take any problem that you want to solve and look at it, work together, put your critical thinking, creative thinking. And if you stop doing that, that's how the innovation will come. So it is not that one day I just get up and some idea come and I become innovative. No, it is that curiosity and that critical thinking and creative thinking, that is what leads to innovation according to us. Yeah.
Jacob, you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think as I said, there are a lot of people getting into innovative things and taking risk and doing startups. So something in Bangalore, I can just give an example. There's a company called Niramai. It has appeared in the news multiple times. She's run by Geeta Manjunath. She's an ex-colleague from HP. So what they are doing is early detection of breast cancer. They're using machine learning techniques, and it's a full-fledged company. It got multiple rounds of funding. There are small companies and all kinds of things are happening in Bangalore. Actually, slowly that culture is changing, and that fear which is inculcated during the earlier education is slowly going away. That's what we say. Say, for example, like earlier people never used to go for adventure, but I know a group of people in one company. They collected money and they went on a trip from London to Mongolia. There is one place in a car. It's a long journey. So like they are doing those kind of challenges. So similar things people will do in work also. That is what is happening. Yeah.
I wanted to ask the next question to both of you. What are the ways we talk about upskilling and how upskilling is important to stay relevant? What are the ways you think engineering students can upskill themselves post their 4 years?
I think upskilling along with regular education can help students to be industry ready. Well, I'm very happy to hear from Jacob saying that Presidency College is trying many electives and options, right? That's the best way to do that, so that he picks up what he or she likes it. But apart from that, today, if you look at it, you have so much of options to upskill. The WWW thing has made access to anything that you want that you can learn. So the world is a playground. You just go and pick it up. But the most important thing is not about certification or not about enrolling into a course or not about completion of the course. So many of them get misguided saying that I'm doing 4 courses, I'm doing 4 certification. Hey, it looks good on LinkedIn. I agree that. But the question when you are at the interview stage, the companies ask you, demonstrate that skill. Now, have you been able to learn that knowledge and translate into an ability and demonstrate it via a skill? That is the question. Because recently I did an interview, somebody said, he said he's a chemical engineer, but he has done a certification course in data analytics. We just asked 2 questions in data analytics. So what I request all the students out there, doing a course is good, doing a certification is good, but don't do it for the sake of it. I don't know if you have read recently, Elon Musk tweeted, and so is also the Google CEO. They're no more looking at degrees, because I'm seeing 5 years down the line, it is going to be skills. Degree with skills is more important rather than just degree, versus having skills is what people are going to look at it. So build your skills. That's the key. So I just missed one point. Many of the students who complete engineering, they go and apply to us. They don't have projects. They don't have internships. How can I don't want to look at your CGPA alone. I want, please show me your projects, show me your internships. They've not done that. I think unless you work on application, I think upskilling would not be helpful. But other way to look at it, volunteering, work with some NGOs, peer coaching, peer mentoring, tutoring. Today is a big scope, right? I just want to tell you about my co-founder, Nrupul, who's from IIT Kanpur. He used to come back every year to his home in Hyderabad. During his summer vacation, he used to teach in Narayana. And he used to earn enough money to go back and pay his semester fees. Today, you can tute sitting at your home if you have a laptop. Let's say you're good in math. Why can't you teach your high school kids? Because when you teach, you learn twice. And teaching also improves your communication skills, structuring skills. So I think today there is a plethora of opportunities to upskill. Write a blog, build your online persona. And it is not that one-time activity. It is to be a continuous activity and a lifelong activity.
Wonderful points, Yogesh. Jacob, you want to add?
I'll just add a little bit because I think time is less. So upskilling is relatively easy nowadays. Only thing is people need to have the will to do that. Say, for example, I'll give an example. When I learned programming, that time I used Pascal. There is a language called Pascal, which many of the current generation doesn't know. I have done all the assignments in Pascal when I was in IIC. Then to do the research work, I had to switch to C. That time, the only thing available was textbook, nothing else. Internet was there, not like this. But 2 years ago, I wanted to learn Python to continue my work. So then I did not look at any book. Entire thing is on the web. And actually, there is, for programmers, there is something called Geeks for Geek. It is founded by, I think, Sandeep Jain from Roorkee IIT. So it's one of the well-accepted thing for programming beginners in India. So that is one example. Like that, all the courses from very good universities are available on the web. MIT courseware is available if you're willing to listen to the process. It's available. Amar Bose was a faculty in MIT who created the Bose speaker. His lectures will be available, or his students' lectures I have listened. It's all there. Earlier it was not possible. So now everything is available. Only thing is you have to do. That's all.
Correct. We are sort of running a little short of time. Probably it's time to take questions from the audience. We have about 4 or 5 in number. Okay, so somebody asks that what is the minimum ranking to get a free seat? I'm not very sure of this. Yogesh, Jacob, anybody can throw some light on this? We aren't really very sure of that.
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
It depends on so many parameters. Yeah.
We will move over to the next question. It's somebody asks about prospective bio or biology, maybe bio-related courses. I'm guessing this may be about bioengineering or bioinformatics. Yeah, what do you think? Who wants to take this question?
Avik, my approach to engineering, irrespective of any field, some branches would be in demand more at that time, some branches would be less. If you are competent, that is, you have the requisite skill set, tool set, and mindset, it doesn't matter what branch excites you, right? Go after a branch that excites you. Don't get carried away by what market trends are. You never know, 5 years down the line, something else may be in there, right? Electronics, same thing. When I was growing up, engineering, in 70s it was mechanical engineering. Maybe before that, chemical engineering. It will keep changing, but at every given stage, if you are good, competent, irrespective of whichever engineering branch that you're going, you'll be good.
Yeah, there is a field called bioinformatics, but I don't think it is something to be studied in the undergraduate level.
Yeah,
there is a branch of computer science. They apply graph theory, all those things. I know some people who have worked in that, but it's not a UG level course.
Okay.
So there's another audience there's somebody in the audience who asks about growth in chemical engineering, because I'm interested in chemical engineering course. I also want to know about the career prospects there.
Chemical industry is there. There will be prospects. And if somebody is interested in that, the person should pursue, in my opinion. Just don't take something else because somebody is telling.
Yeah.
Because when I passed out, I was more interested in physics and all these things. That's how I landed up as an engineer. But maybe if I have done some other thing like psychology, maybe I would have done better, but I did not at that time. So I would suggest somebody likes chemical engineering, go for that. There are good institutes in India. You can try to join that.
Of course, yeah. How to remove exam fear for KCET and how to clear confusions in questions. I think the first part would be something that a lot of, or many in the audience would be looking to hear from both of you.
I think Yogesh might know, but I have one thing I can say. CET is a pretty well-run program, and it is because it's very transparent and maybe tough, I don't know, but the government runs it very well. That is my impression about it.
Yes, I think it's been one of the flagship programs running for almost 30 years. One of the earliest to run the competitive exam. Talking about fear, Avik, it is, I think some amount of fear is good because it will push you to do well, right? Like, let's say that when Sachin Tendulkar goes there to bat, there's some amount of fear, right? Some amount of fear, but you use that fear to overcome and perform. So if there are two options, right? Where, as a human being, either you want to forget everything and run, or face everything and race. That the choice is yours. So what's the worst that can happen? Is you may not succeed, right? Try again, right? And you can overcome fear only through facing it. Let's say that I have a fear for water. Let's say there are a lot of people who have fear for water. Now, if he's going to stay away, how will he overcome that? He needs to get in. He may get drowned. Be precautious, take precaution, and do it. I think facing it is the most important at your age. I think if you practice and you have enough people to coach you today, what needs to be done, how much needs to be done, I think it's all in the mind. Just go and face. It's not a life and death situation, right? It's after all what you may have to give one more attempt. That's it.
Absolutely. Unless you face it, you can't really overcome that.
Yes.
There are no more questions from the viewers. I have one last question to both of you. We talked about industry expectations or expectations of the industry for students. What can students expect from an industry which is so fast changing? I mean, what the industry is today, it won't be the same 4 years down the line or 5 years down the line. So when the students see an industry at the time when they're getting into or starting a course, and when they come out of it, what do you think? What should be the expectations of the students from the industry?
Sure, Avik, if you look at it, today is the best time as a human resource, right? Today, the dirt is not capital, not idea. It is the talent to convert convert that idea into execution. So people with the right competencies and the mindset will be in demand. Companies are built by people. Today, everything else I can outsource it or get it. But getting the right people in who are aligned to the vision and the mission and delivering is the most challenging. I've been talking to many of the startup founders. The single biggest challenge is getting right people. It is not funding. If you must have seen in paper, already the first 6 months funding is exceeded the entire 2020 funding. Right, the number of unicorns that are being set up, that have come up in this country is unprecedented. So if you are made of the right material, the kind of growth opportunities that you're going to get is unprecedented. It is not going to go with the logbook. 3 years you have to do this role, 5 years you will be here, 10 years in the role. The kind of acceleration that you can get is there, the compensation that you can get, the variety of roles that you can get today. When I grew up for 15 years, I was in sales role. There was no other people were considering me that because they said, you have only this experience. Today, it doesn't matter. As long as you can demonstrate that you can add value there, I think the opportunities are going to be immense. So a student can expect faster career progression, better compensation, more variety. I think that's something that's going to come. And India is going to be very big. We are moving towards 5 trillion economy. More jobs are going to come, and all the students are going to graduate in the next 4 years, and they'll be in the job market, and they'll be at the right time in the right place with the right framework.
Thank you so much, Yogesh. Jacob, your views as I round up this discussion.
Yeah, I think a few things I would like to tell, which I hear from different sources, I would like to summarize and say. Some of the students, they need to sometimes go to the street and understand, learn certain skills. I have heard about strange examples, like somebody has never traveled in a BMTC bus. They have only traveled in car because the parent is rich. So, but you have to travel in BMTC to understand certain things. So those kind of, deschooling is required, and people need to, and certain colleges have a program, but I don't know whether it is well run. It is called social immersion program. You go somewhere and understand things like that. But somebody in a city should know basic things like how to go and pay. Nowadays, you don't need to go, but how to go and pay electricity bill. What is the process? You have to interact with people at that level, and you need to understand that, enrich the experience. So students need to shed their some of the comforts and be on the street to learn a lot of skills. That is one suggestion which I am putting, because I am hearing it from many placement officers.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yogesh and Jacob, for such an insightful talk. We are sure that the budding engineers will really immensely benefit from the points that both of you narrated. And with that, we have come to the end of this webinar, but we are not done yet. Please do not forget to take up mock tests exclusively for engineering aspirants by logging on to http.cetprepmasters.in. We firmly believe that all of you on this forum are now much better prepared to take your next step in becoming qualified engineers. It has been a huge privilege to host all of the experts exclusively for your benefit. We thank Presidency University once again for partnering us in this journey for the benefit of the students. Here is wishing you all the very best. Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you to all the audience. Enjoy your evening and have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you, and best wishes to all the students. Bye-bye.
Okay.